Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 87. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Please look for News Recap 136. So just a quick summary of things I'll be going over today. A little bit of content, some interesting things were mentioned on the Metaverse Nomads live stream last weekend, and there was another Atlas brew. And then I'll do my kind of two normal segments, the state of Star Atlas and kind of my journey, which I'll actually have a lot more to talk about on my journey. Anyways, but before I get to that, just want to mention two of my Star Atlas projects. One is my Star Atlas merch store called Intergalactic Gear, which can be found at intergalacticgear.com. It is officially open for business. However, it is only selling mugs. But 4 types of mugs. Anyways, again, just slowly rolling out new products. But so if you're interested in a mug, please do check it out. I am shipping anywhere in the United States right now. But more, really appreciate any of your input. If you have any ideas for merch you'd actually like to purchase, I do have a merch survey there. And if you could fill that out, that'll give me some great feedback. And appreciate everyone who's already done that. And then the second thing I have is sort of we'll keep trying to figure out what to technically call it, because started out with a non-guild guild. Now, of course, it's a DAC, a distributed autonomous corporation, but it's really more of a community of Star Atlas gamers who don't want to join guilds, don't find necessarily the Star Atlas Discord the best place to hang out because it's all, kind of chat-based and you can't keep up with things if you're gone for a day or two. So I'm looking to develop a community of Star Atlas gamers, build upon a different kind of community platform that allows for email notifications, thread discussions as its primary thing, so it's not really a chat platform, more about discussions, and you can kind of come and go as you want. So if that sounds interesting to you, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and fill out that interest survey there. I will mention this is a paid community, and that's partly to offset the cost of the software, but also to compensate me for some of my time. So anyways, but again, the fee should be pretty minimal. So anyways, that's intergalacticcoalition.com. So let's go ahead and get into the kind of there was only 2 kind of content from the past week of things I thought would be interesting to go over. One is Metaverse Nomads. Again, they do a live stream. Well, I guess it's my time, Sunday morning, but I think the 3 hosts are all over the world. Anyways, whatever time it fits yours, wherever you are. But they do record it, so you can always check it out on their YouTube channel. It's a week ago, so I kind of forget exactly what they went over. But I wrote down 3 things that I thought was really interesting that I brought up. One was kind of the continuing of a theme about small players. Though, again, I was realizing this week, we don't really have a definition of small players. But nevertheless, small players, and that definitely the economy does need to be changed to make it more accessible for small players. And so again, it was nice to hear it, not that we haven't heard other people mention it before, but again, I think it bears repeating, partly to set expectations for people that are interested, that right now the economy, in this case, the real way you interact with the economy is through Sage. I guess you can say you can interact with the economy in the marketplace, but if you're not producing, no, actually I don't think about that. Is a marketplace part of the economy? Of course it is, because that's where people sell things. But if you're just buying, you're a consumer in the economy, but unless you also sell, I don't know. I'm not an economist. I don't have a clue. But anyways, definitely want to make things more accessible to small players. So I appreciated hearing that. They also discussed some things which I'll admit are completely over my head, partly, again, as I've said many times, I'm not an economist, so I don't really follow it. I mean, sure, I know enough to, run a business, be a member of society, pay my taxes, pay my utilities, buy groceries, things like that, pay for my mortgage. So I get all that, but I don't get kind of larger economic things. But they did mention something about the law of diminishing returns as it relates to labor economies. Okay, that's a big mouthful. But what was very interesting was the fact that was brought up that many things within the Star Atlas economy as it currently stands don't have a law of diminishing returns. And so again, if you want all the details, please go listen to it. Links to it is in my Star Atlas Week in Review newsletter, news recap. It's on my website, 136, intergalacticherald.com. But anyways, the point was that, and this is, I'm not sure I'm saying this all right, but this is how I interpret it, is say which I am. My marketing agency, I'm the only person in it. So I'm a company one. So I do all the work. I do everything. So not long-term plan, but that's how it is now. But let's say I was a owner of a marketing agency with 100 people. Well, if I was 1X efficient in one person marketing agency, there would be no expectation I'd be 100% or 100X efficiency if I had 100 employees, because things just aren't that easy. You got to have managers, and managers just manage people. So the actual output of the labor, again, these mythical 100 employees, isn't the same. Now, again, probably totally didn't get that right, but again, I'm not an economist. But the current economy is, if you have one crafter, you can do one thing. If you have 100 crafters, it's just 100X. So you do things 100 times faster. But again, that shouldn't be how it works. And I actually found that really interesting that, that's not how the real world works. But again, if you have a lot of things, ships, mining, crafting, whatever, it is truly a non-diminishing returns. You actually get more. So I thought that was, again, very insightful. And then the final point that was brought up, and again, there's kind of a theme, but these are things I've been thinking about, so that's why I'm putting there, was kind of that the community currently in Star Atlas is a little incestual. And again, I think the point wasn't where we typically use that term, but that we're really just doing things amongst ourselves, and that the community needs to grow and or stop losing current members. And I thought that final point, the stop losing current members, was actually kind of also insightful. Not just we need to grow, but have retention. And again, there's lots of places, they say, in business, it's really hard to get an employee, get a client, but it's really great to sell to that client, again, because they're already there and they trust you and know you. And so, again, I think that was a really good point, and they kind of all fall together. If the economy works for small players and people are encouraged to come in, if it's engaging and interesting, you're probably not going to lose members. So, again, I thought there was lots of great points that were brought up there. So, again, great listen. Again, very consistent Star Atlas content creator. So, if you haven't already found them, definitely go check them out. Again, links in my news recap number 136. Next point was there was a Star Atlas brew. Again, it's always on Wednesday. Well, again, whatever time zone you're in, but it's Wednesday morning for me. Now, I always listen later, and I do always appreciate that Star Atlas TV records that. So otherwise, I can't stop in the middle of the day to listen to a gaming podcast or a gaming community thing. But this one was great in the sense that they had the Dow Council show up. So the 5 elected council members were there, and it was focused on kind of an interview of them and what they've been working on and some of the thoughts. So I think, again, that's great. So if you want to hear more about who's on it, well, I guess who's on it? Well, who's on it, what they're kind of thinking and what they're kind of working on. So that was great. However, beyond that, wasn't a lot, except there was one interesting little note at some point made that the Never Alone campaign, which has been going on for quite a while now, but kind of was de-emphasized, went back with the reduction in staff. They did mention that they're definitely going to try to end that by the end of the year, and they've actually reduced the scope, some of the higher perks and things like that, they're just going away. So it sounds like that, we'll get the rewards, whether that was ships or crew or whatever, and kind of wrap that up and, just wrap it up. So I appreciate getting that update. I know there's been questions asked in the Never Alone channels about, where is this? And so, just wrap it up for no other reason. So, and that was pretty much it. Again, there just wasn't much else. So, but getting into kind of my thoughts on kind of the general, or I guess I shouldn't say general state of Atlas, the state of Star Atlas when I'm recording this, again, it's something to talk about each week. So one thought I had again about the Dow Council, I admit it sounded really great. And again, I think part of it, just for me anyways, and I'm not sure if other people feel this too, it's just great to hear people. And I appreciate that half the council members are putting their cameras on. Again, I have no problems if you don't want to have your camera on, if you want to stay anonymous. I totally fine. Absolutely no problem. But at least your audio. But it does start actually, I think, developing familiarity with people. And so I think it was really great they're doing that. They did talk about a lot of how they want to run their meetings and engage the community and things like that. So I think overall, again, listen to it. You can hear for yourself. I think they're getting off to a great start. And for all the maybe things I wasn't sure about the voting process and things like that, that's in the past. Here's the council members. The council was set up by the team, Star Atlas team, to help move the DAO forward. And so I think it's a great start. Again, I want to applaud all 5 participants. Groups without leaders to me are very difficult. So, but it sounds like they're doing so. But having said that, they obviously, and they mentioned it too, there's a lot of work ahead. And, they're doing this as extra work. I can't remember what, some people mentioned how much time they spent the last week. So I really applaud them for that and thank them for that. I know there's some back and forth on whether or not they should get paid, and it sounds like they've decided not to even bring that up, which is also great. But they do have a lot of work ahead. But it'll be interesting to see what comes out, because it does sound like they're off to a great start. So, and beyond that, there wasn't anything else. There just wasn't. And I don't know. Again, I was wrote some of these notes earlier in the week, and then my thoughts on the Atlas Brew when I listened to it last night, and again, just kind of drew a blank on, okay, what else? But I guess the last little point I'll bring in, because it does relate back to some of those things I mentioned about the Metaverse Nomads podcast, is community growth. And yeah, I mean, we're definitely stagnant, probably by design, but definitely as a result of that there's just no products. And, and I'll get to in a second on kind of my journey about Sage, but yeah, I mean, there's just nothing. And again, we're end of October, coming up to the holidays, at least, not North America, United States, traditional holiday season between Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's, which again, I know everybody worldwide celebrates New Year's, and you know what I mean. There is a holiday period for the world coming up. Actually, I just realized, is that true? Yeah, New Year's is celebrated by everybody. Anyway, sorry. Not to get off onto religion or whatever. But anyways, definitely a slower period of time for the majority. How about this? For the majority of the Star Atlas employees who traditionally take a break during the winter holidays, it's coming to that point. So, are we going to see anything else? Are other things coming? Things were mentioned at the break point with like the golden tickets and things like that. And I can't remember if anything was mentioned. Well, if it was mentioned in the Atlas Brew, it wasn't definitive. So hence it doesn't. Yeah. So, but again, I was just kind of thinking again, back to that question about being accessible to small players and not losing current members and that. And I've mentioned it before, and I think, just keep with that. I mean, there just needs to be, and again, I'm using the products because you can't sell Star Atlas is the thing, not necessarily the only game, and we don't have names for everything yet. But yeah, things do need to be funner. And again, that I think is one of the unfortunate parts of the Sage web browser that, yeah, I mean, without automation, there's really, I wouldn't click. I've stopped before and been on this podcast about it's just not going to do it. But I also realize that in that same vein, as much as automation is cool and it helps people, it's a larger barrier to entry. So also being simpler. And, I don't know what form that takes. Again, we were told at Breakpoint, something like the Surge thing will become a permanent part. Obviously, that to me is a lot simpler. Install something, play something. So again, I think, but sorry to get off a tangent, but this is really going back to that community growth. I mean, things do just need to be simpler and funner, and that might help with community growth. And again, perfectly fine if the team's not at that point, not their goal, not what they're driving toward. I mean, again, it just is. So, but again, it just kind of got me thinking about that. So, but anyways, moving on to mine journey, which again, I actually have a fair amount I can talk about here. So I think I may have mentioned I was toying with the idea of, I guess you want to say crafting, but I guess the technical term is redeeming, because we're not really building the ship inside of Sage. We're redeeming it based on materials and components. So I went through and created a spreadsheet that broke out all the Mamba X, EX, whatever. I'm not sure how to say it, but things down to the raw materials, because those are the things, of course, you have to mine, and then, of course, you craft. So, wow, it was a lot. So I don't think every raw material was used, but a lot were. A lot of hydrogen, tons of carbon. I think if I remember, I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me, but I think it was like 25 million hydrogen had to be mined, and then I think it was 75 million carbon, and then 5 million of the rest of the things, even including, I think, diamond, which is the farthest resource to find. I put all those in with the current prices to purchase all that, and it came out to be like $220 or something, which again, for a medium ship is probably a good deal, because I think the ship selling waste at the time was like $340 or something. So, it's there. But I was still like, well, what if the Mamba X's run out or something like that? Because again, I don't know if the team has said guaranteed they're always going to be there. But as I mentioned in a previous podcast, I was going on the thing, they said they might add more ships. So if they're going to add more, then you would think the current ones would stay. So, and the other thing I realized as I was doing that calculation, that up until the crafting phase, stockpiling raw materials isn't bad. So I realized, I guess, technically the raw materials should be around forever, or, relatively forever. So if I change my mind or the Mombex disappears, I still have those things. So it was kind of good. So I decided to get back into using my laptop, which is right next to me as I record this, and get Sly Assistant working again and do some supply chain just with to hydrogen, because I hadn't actually crafted anything before. So I started just with a simple supply chain of mining the hydrogen, and then now that we can separate our ships from our crew, then had some crew just crafting it into fuel. And anyway, so I got that working. And the other thing I was trying to do was, in my previous Sage experience, I was just stockpiling different resources and going out to different bases. And of all the three consumables, food, fuel, and ammo, my claim stakes could not keep up with the fuel requirements. So I realized that probably if I'm going to do this, given that the numbers are way more than what I craft before, my original goal was 1 million. And like I said, there's many things at 5 and a couple at 25 and 75 million things, that fuel is probably going to become a bottleneck. So I need to actually create a independent supply chain that's constantly mining hydrogen and crafting the fuel, and just make that the thing that keeps the transport and the mining fleets fueled. So I kind of just made sure that I could figure all that out. And I was able to, so to do that. So first thing I did was move my crew into Sage. And I know there was supposed to be problems with it, but it sure seemed easy enough. So I don't know if, again, they just got things easier. Part of my problem was it seemed to go only in batches of 6, but I didn't have that many. I think 40 or 50, 70. I can't remember. It definitely under 100 is all the crew I have from ships and a couple purchases. So it seemed to go okay, and I spread it over a few days. So that was cool. And then I got Sly Assistant working again and tried the first crafting. And well, first I just, again, have to compliment both either Sly Guild or Groove, who is the one that most associated with the Assistant. Again, it is just awesome. I don't think there would be Sage without that. And I guess I say that not to diminish the team for creating all the foundational parts and the current user interface, but there is no way, and maybe the team would have built it in absence of a community member building it. But I think a lot of credit, more credit than has actually been given, needs to go to Groove and the Sly Guild for creating it and maintaining it with changes that occur to Sage. So again, we need to find out a way to pay them. And again, maybe this is where the DAO proposal ecosystem fund really needs to figure out. I don't know how it works. I'm still trying to figure it out. I bet the council just will mention some stuff. So anyways, that is a perfect place to earmark some of those treasury funds. So, but anyways, back to auto crafting. Yeah, it was really easy. I mean, it was actually too easy. So again, it's just amazing that obviously everything's been thought of. So late this week, I decided to go ahead and start going. So I created to stop my crafters, because I had proven the proof of concept and just kept my 3 fleets mining hydrogen. And again, my goals, or the need, is like 25 million. I was like, oh, well, who knows how long it's going to take. But after a day or two, I'm already up to 2 million. So obviously that seems to, it's not compounding, but it 24/7 does add up with whatever my cargo limit is, which I don't remember off the top of my head. But it doesn't matter, because that's all the ships I have. So anyway, so I'm going to let that run and get that 25 million. But then I'll take those 3 fleets that I built and keep the one small one mining hydrogen, and keep whatever crafters I have left over, or crew left over, to craft that to fuel. And then move over the claim stakes, food, and ammo, because as I'm checking right now, those aren't being used that much. I have a little paper note here just to, if the numbers increase, then obviously things are working. So that's my little check. And so ammo's barely budget down, food's barely gone down, and fuel hasn't. But again, there's no movement really, just dock, undock. So, and the hydrogen's going, so that's great. But anyways, so I'll keep one small fleet mining hydrogen, some crew crafting it into fuel, which should just go back in there. And then I'll take the 2 other fleets and turn them into a remote mining fleet and a transport fleet, which is what I did before. So I think probably, though I haven't double checked, but just given the number, I'll probably do the carbon next if it truly is 775 million carbon, and just see how that one goes. And there. Now, final point on this, I got a little long-winded here, but again, I'm actually a little more excited, so hence fun. Fees. So I didn't realize, because I haven't crafted before, that there are some crafting fees in Atlas, but when I was crafting fuel before, it was very, very small. I put 1,000 Atlas in there, and I don't think it ever got under 980 something to get 1 million fuel crafted, so I'm not too concerned about that. But it's the classic one is the Solana transaction. So I'm actually monitoring that. I put in, I think, 0.1 Sol, and just in the 3 fleets mining, I guess they're just mining. There's no crafting going on. There's no movement going on. It's disconcertingly decreasing, and I don't have any sort of priority fees in place. So I'm going to kind of watch that. And part of this is kind of to do a little calculation, because I was kind of worried that if this is like $1 a day in Solana fees, I mean, that's going to add up. I mean, it's $30 a month, and there's no gain, nothing. I mean, I didn't get anything for it. I guess I'm getting the resources, but yeah, I don't know. I know people have said that for, quote, small players, but I thought, well, with a decent number of ships, and again, I'm still trying to figure out, we need to have some vocabulary on this, size based on cost of ships. I actually had an idea, is it really based upon cargo holds? I don't know. Does that make any sense? I don't know. But, some other metric that we can kind of compare, because as was mentioned, one transaction costs the same no matter how big your fleet is. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Now, having said that, if the Solana fees per day are reasonable, and again, the outcome is a medium ship, I mean, shouldn't matter. But then again, I guess it does, because like I said, I could buy that ship now. So, I mean, if doing all of this work and there is no benefit in time, so again, time is a factor, doesn't have a tangible cost, but as a tangible result. But if, I don't know, let's say it took 4 months and each month cost $30, well, I guess 120 is still cheaper than buying the ship outright. And so I guess you could say, okay, well, there's how you made your money. So, I mean, I guess that's fine. I don't know. I guess I still feel like it's a tax that's not necessary, because I guess the Atlas taxes or fees go to the DAO treasury, if I remember how that works. So again, I guess it's sort of well, yeah, but that's still contributing to the community, where the Solana fees are just, I don't know how to describe it, because, I mean, traditional taxes, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could just say it's a cost of doing business, but I don't know. I need to think more about it. It's just, it becomes so more, what's the word to say? When you do a single transaction, like when I continue to keep my stuff in faction fleets, at least my 3 are small and medium ships, or is there 4 in there? Whatever ships are in there that are actually gaining enough Atlas to make it feel like, hey, that's something. One couple clicks a day, I guess I don't even have to click twice. Yeah, I only do it once a day. So let's say there's 4 clicks to resupply. And I guess I should look at the Solana there. But, I mean, that's where you feel like, who cares? But obviously when you're doing stuff in Sage, they just add up because there's so much more actions. So, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about paying for Solana fees. So, but again, I'll do the numbers and kind of see what comes out. And maybe it's okay to factor it in. But anyways, I've gone off on too many tangents. Thanks for listening to all that. To summarize, though, actually it's kind of fun. But I guess I'll leave on this note. Fun for someone who has been doing it as long as I have, as creating a lot of my beginner videos and adding the Sage videos to my true crypto beginner ones, to get to this point, plus investing the amount of ships I have. The barrier to entry is, I mean, well, and I think I've said this before. I mean, I've tried to get my son interested, and this part just does not do it, but Surge did. So anyways, we'll just kind of see how things go. But anyways, that's my update on my journey, kind of my state of Star Atlas, things that are going on. So just wrap it up now. So again, interested on podcast guests. So again, they could be anybody who just wants to chat about the week in review. Hey, tell me how you're playing Star Atlas. Definitely open to any other content creators who want to come on, any other the Star Atlas builders that are out there, and obviously any of the team members who would want to talk. Again, just so you know, I'm just looking for any team members interested in helping with beginners and kind of basics and things like that. So hopefully nothing too serious or future looking, but just sort of, or just, thoughts, history of Star Atlas, your perspective on things. Obviously those would, I think, be great to the community. And then if you want to buy any Star Atlas mugs, please go to intergalacticgear.com and you can purchase a mug there while you're there, or don't want to purchase a mug, please fill out the merch survey. Again, intergalacticgear.com. And lastly, if you're interested in hanging out with a bunch of Star Atlas gamers who aren't members of guilds, who want to kind of have a more asynchronous, laid back discussion community, forum, whatever you want to call it, please check out intergalacticcoalition.com and fill out the interest survey there. Other than that, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. I guess I'm supposed to say that. But otherwise, just have a great week ahead. And this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.